Yeah, I think we could pretty much wrap up the games chat this week there, though. God, hold on. God, that was terrible. Started fumbling.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I could feel my tongue wrapping around itself. I was like, I'm not going to be able to form a thought after this.
My tongue was hanging itself.
My tongue was tied. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery.
Hey, everybody.
John Hines.
Hey there.
And DJ Mandolini.
Yo.
And we got a full house back once again, and we are ready to talk about some games that we have been putting off for quite some time, at least DJ and I. And we made some promises at the end of last year in 2019 before shit hit the fan this year. And we finally got around to playing some stuff. So what have you been playing, Deej?
Well, my resolution game for the year was Deadbolt by Hopoo Games. Those good old Risk of Rain fellows we all love.
Nice.
Yes. Which, speaking of that 1.0 update, God, I got to play that.
I know. I need to too.
We'll get back.
We'll get there. Deadbolt is like a 2D stealth action game where you're like the Grim Reaper and you're trying to quell these like undead gangs. So you're just like basically going through these buildings and killing all the undead you can find. There will be like zombies, skeletons, vampires, and demons, I think, are the different factions. But it's I don't know. It's like your run of the mill, that type of game, I guess. What I appreciate most is really the soundtrack. Like that first like opening menu is just like, oh yeah, this is so Risk of Rain. Like it is just
nice.
A great, very good vibes, and like kind of a murky, like I didn't fully understand the story really. But I'm not that clever. I don't know. There's probably an explanation I can read online. It's like, oh, duh. But it's, I do kind of like that though. I like those unclear kind of, I don't know, storytelling, devices. Fucking edit me.
No, I like that too. Like when you gotta I don't know, put some of the pieces together yourself, and it's not just like a straightforward story. Like I enjoy that as well.
Well, there are like these like kind of cassettes that you unlock in certain levels, although I'm not sure exactly like what the requirements are to unlock them. And like when you get back to the hub, you can like look over those cassettes and like the transcripts, and those kind of, I guess, are what give you the main insight into the story, I guess. But I don't know. It's a solid game. I can't say I was particularly like, this is amazing. I also had just a good time all around playing it. It's like 27 levels. Each level, like you could, like on a successful run, you could complete it within like 5 minutes. I mean,
jeez.
Okay.
But like I died a lot. But like even it keeps track of like your overall time you've spent on a level, including all your deaths. So I think even with that, it would say at the end, like, I don't know, like 10 to 20 minutes on any given level. The one thing that was like kind of weird is like they give you like a star ranking at the end, and like when they say like your total amount of deaths, like I don't know, it struck me as like somewhat unclear. Like, are my previous attempts being like counted towards that total? Like, are they factoring in how many tries it took me to beat this? Like, or is it
just like the final attempt?
Is it just analyzing my successful run? But I try to not get hung up on the stars. Past me would have only gone for 5 stars and nothing
every
else.
Single time. Yep.
Yeah.
It's healthier now. That's good.
I mean, at least the fact that I at least got some 5 stars, it's like, that's fine. That's enough.
Yeah.
It's progress.
Yeah, it's a fun game, but like I really dug the vibe. That was the big selling point for me. So
Nice.
you should get it, guys.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're comparing the music to Risk of Rain,
Yeah.
that's definitely that's almost enough there. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I definitely still want to check this game out. Still have not gotten around to picking it up, but it's been sitting on my one of the earliest games I put on my Switch wish list.
Nice.
But I guess just real quick before we get to my resolution game, because we're just going to get both those out of the way on this episode, I also played John's resolution game, and I actually beat it. I beat Transistor, and it was much shorter. Transistor from SuperGiant, that is. It's a lot shorter than I thought it would be. Did you ever end up finishing the game, John?
I didn't. I think I just got hung up on some new release and kind of ventured away from it. I did play it a little bit after Hades came out, because I think like we brought it up even on like the first podcast that we talked about Hades, that like it just made me want to go back and play Transistor, but like the control schemes are completely different for the two games.
So different.
So like I got bodied on like I was like, oh, I'll just pick it right back up, and then I was like, oh shit, I don't remember how to do anything in this game. So I made my way through like one more like story beat in Transistor, but I'll have to like set some time to like actually immerse myself and go back to it.
Yeah, I'm not going to like go into full detail on the game or anything, but I did have a really good time playing through. Like I said, it was a little shorter than I thought it would be, but I think I mentioned too on that Hades podcast when we talked about it, at least one of the times we talked about it, I mentioned wanting to go back to Bastion, and this makes me want to go back even more, because I think, John, you were the one saying, or somebody said that like, man, Supergiant really knows how to do combat. And man, is that the case in Transistor, because you have all these different abilities that you can map to the face buttons. And that was kind of confusing, because after you take damage, you can like lose those abilities over time. And then so you're constantly kind of remapping your abilities as you play, at least if you suck as much as me and you die all the time. But yeah, I had to remap my controls. But like I immediately, like you were saying, I had to remap the dash button to like that has to be placed on the bottom face button. Like that cannot be anywhere else after just playing Hades. But you know, I Hades, as much as I'm enjoying it, I just wanted to play something like a little more slow pace. Not that Transistor doesn't get hectic, but I really like the way the new game plus works too. I didn't really dig into it, but the game just starts again straight up from the beginning, but with all the skills you've unlocked so far.
Yes.
And then the game scales to the like level you're at, and just like you can basically just keep replaying this game over and over with like scaling difficult. Well, I guess I don't know how far that will extend, but yeah, it seems pretty cool. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing different about the game itself. Like there's no bonus secret ending or anything. There's like one different line of dialogue somebody said on the wiki. But yeah, other than that, I think it's like mostly. But yeah, I basically just loved it, and I just need to go now play Pyre for sure.
Yep.
And definitely maybe go back to Bastion and give it a fair shake for the third time. But yeah, we'll talk Transistor more in the future, I'm sure, because you need to play more of that, John.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll just get into my resolution game for this year as well, which was Undertale. And I played probably about 2.5 hours or so of this game. And I got to be honest, and I know I sometimes am the contrarian or whatever, but I really did kind of bounce off this game hard. I gave it a fair shot. I like took a few days off. I went back to it. But I don't want to really take the lead on this conversation, because I know that Randall actually played all the way through this game recently. And I know, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, because I don't want to lead the conversation with me just taking a big dump on Undertale, as I know many people love this game.
Okay, I'll talk about it, because I had a great time with Undertale.
Yeah, what kept you like coming back, and then maybe I'll bounce some ideas off you.
I would say I'll say context-wise, I did buy this physically on Switch back when it was available, just because I saw how much the aura around this whole game. And I already knew that I had a penchant for quirky indie games, and without spoiling it for myself, I could tell that that's what this was going to be.
It's incredible, by the way, that you didn't get spoiled.
I know.
Like, for how ubiquitous this game is on the internet. Like, I cannot believe you managed to, like, go in relatively blind.
Very pleased.
And same here. I went in totally blind, and I was honestly in the same boat as you, Randall. I think I mentioned, like, the reason it was my resolution game when I was talking about it before is, like, I was like, I feel like I need to own this game because I feel like it's a game I'm going to love. And that might be part of my experience is that I put so much expectation into this game and the experience I wanted to have with it.
Sure.
That might have colored my experience. But yeah, I was definitely in the same boat as you going into it.
I think it helped too that I didn't really get too. I took a while off of social media, so I think that helped my cause for like when this game came out. I wasn't really that deep in social media as I am now.
Nice.
So that probably helped my cause. But no, so the soundtrack, first and foremost, I love the soundtrack. I love the battle theme. I love the different like overworld themes and the quirky town themes. And like the battle theme still gets stuck in my head like every couple of days. So that's, to me, always a great sign to start with. And I just love these type of quirky games where it feels like someone made this thing in a bubble. Like, they played some games before, but they really came to this with, like, I'm going to make exactly what I want to make, period. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what happened here. Toby Fox made his game, and it's Undertale.
Yep.
And I loved it, and I love the battle sections, too. That's just like the soundtrack, you know, the loving the battle theme. I love the battles in this game, too. The whole, like, dodge the bullet hell attacks coming for you, and, like, choosing whether to fight or whether to talk, and like all kinds of meta things that kind of happen along those different lines, some of which isn't really even explained to you up front. You just kind of start learning through kernels of information over time, kind of what options you have available to you. So yeah, I had a good time with it. I love that it wasn't too long either, but I'm going to let some other folks talk.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, though, how long did it take you to play through roughly? I know the way the save game works is kind of odd, but
I think by save time, I want to say it was like maybe 7-ish hours, I want to say. I haven't looked in a little bit. Somewhere in there.
Okay.
It is a surprisingly short game. Like, yeah. I remember, like, the first time that I played through it, like, I kind of expected it. I don't know why I expected it to be longer than it was, but, like...
It's an RPG.
Yeah, I guess. And
it has this huge reputation. You just kind of think, oh, it's going to be this huge, epic game.
I mean, I played it, like, when it released, like, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think DJ and I, like, played it pretty quick, like, right after it came out on, like, PC and Mac. Like...
Okay.
But yeah, that was years ago. Like at least like 3 apartments for me. So like I know
this game's been out for a while.
I know exactly like where I played it in like my bedroom in like an apartment, but it's kind of hard to like place exactly when I played it.
Yeah. I guess like for me, like, well, DJ, you said you've been playing a little too and got a little refresher, right?
Yeah. I mean, the first time I played it, like, I remember it just really had a big emotional effect on me. I didn't realize that literally every single battle, like, could be, like, you could spare the enemy. Like,
yeah.
I figured, like, that's a thing you could do, but not at all times.
Same.
So it was when I was fighting Undyne, and for whatever reason, like I was like fighting her, and like when I like took her out, like I like cried. Like it was just so sad. So I think it was definitely the soundtrack and the charm of this game that won me over more so than the gameplay itself. I think the gameplay itself it's fine, it's solid, but like that's not what I think about when I'm, my fond memories of this game. It's really like the emotional effect it had on me.
So on that point specifically, like, and also I'm just because like for me, I've always pronounced it Undini. Like I don't know.
I could be completely wrong.
I think it's like
Undini.
Different. Like
that's what podcasts are for, just mispronouncing the names of things.
Mm-hmm. But like when I was, so I played through the game from what I thought, because if you're not familiar with the game, again, like there are different ways to play it. Like it is possible to play the game without ever killing an enemy. It is possible to play the game by killing every single enemy, and you get very different stories for doing that. And so like I beat the game in what I thought was like a true pacifist run, but like I think maybe like killed a few enemies like throughout the course of the game, like just regular enemies in the game. So I didn't. Yeah. I got like there are a huge range of like neutral endings. Like there's basically an ending for every single boss, whether you like killed or spared them, and like there's different stories that happen through each of them. But like if you go through, and I went and I spared all the bosses, but I had killed a few enemies, so like I got one of the neutral endings, and so then I replayed the game and like got a like complete pacifist run without killing a single enemy. Nice. And like that was the like ending that I enjoyed and really liked. And then I tried playing a version where I was going like the true evil route and like killing every enemy. And I didn't even get to the point, like in order to get the actual worst or evil ending, like worst is subjective or whatever. You have to actually continuously like farm areas and kill every random encounter until you stop getting random encounters.
Oh, geez.
And like you have to literally kill everything in the game. And like I didn't even do that, and I got to like the Undine fight like in just a normal like kill all the bosses and kill all the enemies that you come across, but like without doing that extra step. And like that, like I stopped playing after that boss battle because it made me feel so terrible, and like I honestly like cried after I like beat her, and I was like, yeah, I don't need to continue doing this. Like this isn't an experience that will like make me happy. So I was just like, yeah, and like the game is aware of this. Like that's it's not like trying to make you feel bad for like doing what the game presents you as whereas that happens a ton in games with like morality choices where you can be evil and then like the game shames you for being evil. Like this one, like that it absolutely is doing that, but like it does that just by like nakedly like showing you this is the consequence of what you're doing. Like it's not the game being like, and you're so bad for doing it. Like the game is just like, yeah, if you do bad stuff, this is what's happened. Like you just have to deal with the consequences. And like there's a specific, like I don't know how much like you guys want to get spoiled on stuff.
I played through it. You can go for it.
Yeah, everybody, I'm not going to play a single second more of this game, so you spoil away, and we'll just give a spoiler alert that we're going to talk about story stuff for Undertale going on here more than we already have.
It's been out for like 5 years. So.
Yeah, exactly. But like, just to be safe, hey, we just played it for the first time.
Right,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a specific moment in that Undine battle where like you are like, she is attacking you and the attacks are getting stronger and whatnot. And then like at the end, like when like you are choosing to attack her, her attacks just start getting weaker and slower, and you are just deliberately like attacking her and doing full damage. And like, it just gets easier and easier each time. And like, that was just the roughest thing. And like, I was like, I feel awful doing that. Like that felt horrible.
And I think you get to a point too during that fight where even if you try to spare, like it won't let you do that. Like, and you have to proceed with the attack.
You are correct.
All right. So you tried going both ways as well, Randall?
Yeah, I generally tried. Like, as I kind of caught wind of what was going on, unfortunately, I killed some random enemies early on. I'm like, ooh, I can get experience points. And like,
yeah, I was curious about like, does it only apply to like the bosses or mini bosses, or is it for every enemy? I was kind of curious. I never got far enough to figure it out for myself. But
because you don't level up. If that's part of the game, is that like it is difficult to play if you are like going the true pacifist route. Like you have basically turn everything into like a very like chaotic bullet hell game where like it is one hit death basically. And like so like that my first gameplay, like I killed a few enemies just to get my experience up to make it like a little bit easier. And
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I purposely didn't kill bosses if I could help it. All right, I tried to, and then and seemingly like special enemies. If it was regular flowers, I killed a lot of those dudes. But then like special enemies or like papyrus or some of those folks that like really got dialogue lines. I'm like, or cute puppies in armor. I'm like, let me try to like save these dudes if I can help it and take some damage along the way, and that's okay.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd killed too much before that point to really make too much of a difference, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue into like what I have to say about this game, because those cute puppies in the armor was kind of the first point where I was just like, I mean, I don't mean this to be the last word. We can talk more on it. I'm not like, let me get my thoughts in at the end here. But like, this whole game to me, like I was just like, I felt like I was just groaning to myself the whole time. Like if to me, the gameplay felt like if I had to walk through tall grass in a Pokemon game for the whole time. Because I didn't expect there would be random encounters. I thought this would be all characters on the map. So I hate random encounters in games. And yeah, I couldn't stand that. And then on top of that, so imagine you're in the tall grass in a Pokemon game. And then if you're me personally, I'm going to want to go for that total pacifist route. So you're also going to be trying to catch every Pokemon in the game by getting them down to as low health as possible. But then also on top of that, you have to do like these kind of logic based, but many times logic free, like point and click style adventure puzzles that are just like, should I tickle this puppy? Should I pet this puppy? Should I talk to this puppy? Do I need to pet them both? It was the most frustrating experience I have ever had playing a video game. Like I cannot stand this game. I just so frustrating to me. I did like the music. I do like the bullet hell segments, which are in the battle segment. Although I do find the patterns to be like really frustrating to learn and whatnot. Although I know you guys are saying it's supposed to be a hard game, but just really didn't find that to be all that enjoyable, because I was just like doing it again and again. Like, what do I need to say to this person? What do I need to do to this person? What do I just really bounced off. And as you know, we're going to talk about another quirky RPG a little bit later. That I'm really enjoying, but I really found like, you know, the joke here and there landed, but I really just was not entertained by like what was going on in the game story wise. Although obviously I didn't get very far to like get to the emotional depths like you guys got into. But I don't know. Again, maybe definitely, you know, part of that might be the expectations I had going into this game and wanting it to be this amazing experience, because it was like I'd shut off all the lights for my first couple of sits with it. And I was like, all right, shutting off all the lights. I even put my headphones on because I knew it had a great soundtrack. And I was kind of ready to roll. And John actually purchased this game for me. We were tweeting about, I was like, what should I play right now? And I think like a couple weeks back, and John was like, I've only had one beer. And he like sent me a picture of his Venmo for $15. And he's like, you better play Undertale.
That's right.
I was like, all right, I guess I am running out of time. So I guess I don't know. But I even like the aesthetic, to be honest. Like I really am not a huge fan. I love pixel art graphics, but I really thought this was like so basic, and like I just really didn't like. I like the character designs when you're in the battles and stuff like that, but I really didn't like them like on the overworld map. And just I just really didn't like much about this game at all, to be honest.
And those are fair like criticisms as well. Like if the game is like comprised solely of things that you are not a fan of in games, I don't think that like it's necessarily fair to say like you, because like that was the whole thing where like when we were, you know, texting each other about this, like where it was like, we want to make sure that you're giving this game a fair shake and you're not just writing it off like too quickly, or like how much of a game that you don't necessarily enjoy do you like necessarily need to play through in order, because like, you know, people say like, oh, a movie or like a TV show gets really good like X like hours in, or however time you have to invest.
Yeah.
But like that's difficult for a game. That's a difficult ask for like, oh, like maybe like every like component of this game isn't necessarily going to resonate with you, just because like it's like how much of a game do you have to experience that is made of things that you don't enjoy will you have to take before you actually get to something that you will like get something out of.
Yeah, that's a good point, because there are games that I have like bumped my head against, you know, a frustrating mechanic or two and still really, really liked. But yeah, this one just like the I don't. For me personally, it would have benefited because, like, I know I talk sometimes on the podcast too about how, like, I just kind of breezed through the story. But again, this was a game that I was fully planning on, like, getting immersed in the experience and paying full attention. Like, I know the story is kind of the selling point of this game. So I guess, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
What had you been saying, John? Because what you had said.
Yeah.
Just like how much like of a thing do you have to how much investment do you need to have in something in order to get to like a thing that either other people enjoy or that, or.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, this is something like a game that I was feeling like maybe would have benefited from having like an easy mode or like a no damage mode or something like that, where I could have played and like really just experienced it one way or the other. And I know that it seems like this story really does tie into the mechanics and the battle system itself, and how you're defeating enemies and whatnot. So I understand why that would be difficult to do. Especially if you want to give people the choices in the matter. But I guess there would be a way to do it. And it would be something like, because you guys are praising the story so much, and I do like the music, and again, the game has such high praise. I would be curious to see it through to the end, but just like the actual experience of me playing it, there's just no way I can make it there.
That's what Let's Plays are for.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, seriously, maybe that's the way I check this game out. Or at least listen to the soundtrack. So,
yeah,
if nothing else.
Yeah.
There was one question I wanted to ask Randall specifically.
Yeah.
About, because I played it on my Mac. DJ, did you play it on PC when it first came out?
Yeah, and I'm really glad that this time I'm replaying it now, and I'm so glad I'm using my PS4 controller.
But Randall,
wait. So you guys were using keyboard to play through this game?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was rough.
Oh,
it was real rough. Real hard. Real hard.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Some of those patterns you have to avoid in those battles.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Even in the first 2.5 hours, 2.5, 3, 4 hours, as far as I got, like, no way you can do that with a keyboard. Well, obviously you can, but wow.
The last boss in most of the neutral endings, like, Randall, do you know if you got a neutral ending?
Gosh, I think I did. Yeah.
Was your final battle against Flowey?
Yes.
And was it a super weird, gross, like Donkey Kong 64 weird pixel art, like 3D?
Yes, it was.
So, did the game force quit at any point?
Like actually force quit, or like fuck with me in a meta way?
But yeah, like that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yes.
So,
yes.
What did it do? Like, what did it do?
It acted like it like deleted my save, and like booted me back, but then the flower kept screwing with me where like it was restarting the fight so it could kill me over and over again.
Yeah.
And actually somehow, I don't know if it was storyline based that it got slightly easier or if I just locked in, but that only happened a couple of times before I took it out and just like got into this, third eye mode where I was just like dodging everything and happened to hit things at the right point, and that felt amazing. But man, that was like really hard and very intense.
Yes, because on Mac, what it did was it like shut like the battle, like in the middle of the battle, it like closed out the game.
Oh my God.
And then like when you open the game,
this is like Kojima.
No, but like seriously, then when you go, I went to the like folder that the game was saved in, and it renames the file of the like game itself.
That's hilarious.
It was insane. Like, so I was really wondering how they would do that, like not on like a computer.
Yeah.
Like
I remember DJ asking that too when I was saying I was going to play it. He was like, "I'm curious about how they do it on consoles."
Yeah, because like I wasn't sure like if it would like boot you into like the Switch menu screen and then it would change the name of the game, or like I was just so curious how that was going to happen in like a console setting.
It acted like, if I'm remembering correctly, and it was all really intense, it booted back to like the title menu. and then acted like it deleted my save. And
Yeah.
he basically is taunting me, saying that he's doing all this, and then like essentially restarting the game to like beat my ass again, and then restarting the game to beat my ass again.
Yep.
So yeah, it did do that, but it
That's
didn't
pretty
boot all
cool.
the way to the Switch menu. That would have freaked me out, I think, if it would have gone that far.
Oh yeah. They're like, oh, it just corrupted the file or something. Like actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some because like there's also like permanent metadata in the game files, like because that's the thing is that like if you like play and get the good ending, like the game, like if you try to delete your save and like start a new game, like the game recognizes that it's a game, and it also like prompts you like if you get the perfect ending, it's like, hey, everybody's happy, like do you really need to like play this game again? Like,
That's wonderful.
and like
That's great.
That's kind of the reason why I haven't touched this game since, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't need to. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to like experience. Like, I've had the full experience of this game. Like, I feel content and like, oh, DJ, what are you shaking?
But that's why I'm playing through them again. Like right now, I'm on a full pacifist run because I need to get to the best boss fight that has the best music in the game. In my opinion,
really does. It really does.
That's
Which one?
I've listened to that track. Like remixes of that track so many times. Hopes
Is this
and
a battle you
dreams.
only get in
it
pacifist mode?
it makes me cry. Like listening to
yeah.
the soundtrack like makes me cry again. Like it is such an emotional, like I get the feeling of every single track. I have an emotional attachment to every single moment that happens in the story. So like
Yeah.
it's just
The track named His Theme always gets me.
Yes.
But then I also have to I am going to have to do the full murder run because
You don't have to.
But that's the hardest boss fight at the end.
Oh gosh.
Just watch a video of it. It's not worth it.
I've seen the
No, you
video.
know,
I cannot
DJ
imagine
has to beat
that-
it.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he hasn't beaten it
I
until he's
didn't
beaten the
really
hardest
beat
boss.
it.
You have
That
to,
regular
you have to listen
battle
and play
at the end was hard
Megalovania in real time.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Oh man, well I guess that's probably a good transition into the next game that we were going to talk about, since we're talking about music and stuff, and since we just had some guests on the podcast that we talked about the soundtrack. Unfortunately, DJ wasn't able to join us for that episode, but we've all been playing some Ikenfell, and I even wrote down Ikenfell like a fucking idiot again. I started our interview with them. I was like, even after saying it to myself 5 times. Anyways, but yeah, Ikenfell came out recently, and we've all been playing it, and Randall and I, thanks to Xbox Game Pass, once again, that's just cranking out the indies.
Yeah.
And yeah, kind of a similar-ish game to Undertale. Not really, but it's top-down, turn-based RPG, although the combat's definitely very different, although very interactive as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just kind of a lot going on. We mostly talked music stuff with Ivy Tran and Sabrielle Augustin on the podcast interview. But yeah, I think we're ready to talk some of the gameplay. And yeah, why don't I don't know who wants to take the lead on this one.
DJ beat it.
I did.
Yeah, per usual.
Dang.
Surprise, surprise.
I mean, I guess I don't have as much. I don't think I have as much experience as you guys with like these tactics type games.
Wait, really?
But
I honestly don't all that much, to be honest, either. Like Into the Breach and some of those were like I've played some, but those were like the first I really like dug into and then started exploring some outside of that.
yeah,
Interesting.
I guess that and like XCOM, I guess for me, are like my primary experiences of this. But yeah, I mean, I think we had been talking before, Kevin, about how it's like kind of Paper Mario-esque in the combat.
Yeah,
how
very
there's,
much
like,
so,
that
yeah.
timing for that attack and defense.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, I don't know how I feel about, because like early on, I think it's great, but I think the farther you get in the game and it's just like, okay, I know how to do these. Like I don't like that I'm being made to do something I know how to do already, if that makes any sense.
That's interesting. That's interesting you say that, because I feel that way in Paper Mario, even though I still find it engaging and fun to like kind of just keep me on my toes a little bit. But I'm still like, I'm probably about 5.5, 6 hours in, like I'm halfway through chapter 3.
Yeah.
And I'm still not I don't have all the commands down to a science. Like I'm definitely, because you can either like totally whiff and get like an oops, or you can get a nice, or you can get a great. Maybe there's something in between there as well. But like I get a lot of nices and I get some oops pretty. I whiff pretty bad on both the enemy attacks that you can prevent some damage from. And on top of that, doing extra damage with your attacks, or like even if you're doing like a poison spell or something, like you won't actually poison the enemy if you don't time it perfectly. So
that's why there's those accessibility settings.
That's right.
Yeah, which I haven't really dug that much into, but that's awesome that they have a bunch of those. There's the menu system in general, like the UI and everything in this game is great. I think for the most part, does a really great job of like, is this item going to be better? Like if I equip this, is it better than this item, or is it worse? Or if I sell this item, does it perk any of my stats for this character? I really like how the system works.
Did you guys find yourselves, how far did you guys get, I should ask? How big is your party?
I have 3 people in my party.
Yep, same.
Okay.
We're all at the same point pretty much.
Yeah, we're all, the 3 of us are all at like mid chapter 3. I just got back to the library.
Well,
if that makes any sense. And I guess we might get into some like mild spoilers, but we probably won't talk too much story other than maybe just the enjoyment of it. I'm really enjoying the story personally.
I was going to say, I still plan on playing more of this. Like,
I plan on seeing it through, to be honest. I played some more just before we started getting on to record tonight, and really was kind of sucked right back in it. It had been a few days since I'd played, but...
Would you mind if I revealed some just purely gameplay stuff that isn't truly like really a spoiler?
Randall, you want to take your headphones off?
I'm personally cool with that.
It better be good conversation.
What was that, John?
No, this is like Randall's usually the most sensitive on this. You want to take your headphones off for this? And
I'll be okay. I can be a big boy.
You'll be good. It's I think you guys can pretty much tell by like how the menu's laid out, but eventually there's 6 total party members. But you'll only ever have 3 on the battlefield at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So early on, like, I guess I was worrying, like, who should I be like focusing on? Like, is it going to be to my detriment if like I don't include this person in my party for a while or something? But what's nice is even if a party member or when one of your crew isn't in the battle, they still receive experience like the rest of your team. Like it's like 95% of the experience that the team gets.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry so much about like, oh, should I have gone with this person? Like it's very like adjustable. I think
it's just who you like playing with best.
Right.
Yeah. I definitely got to a point at the end where it was like, like these are my 3, but I still would have felt comfortable if I had been forced to use the other ones. I think the only part that would have been a little hectic was like rearranging all the gear, because if I'm like prioritizing my best gear on those 3, then it's kind of hard when you're trying to mix other people in. I think in general, like I want like a clear, like this is better, equip this, but there is a lot of like, give and take, which stat do you think is most important for you for your play style?
Right. Do you want more speed? Do you want more defense? Do you want more power?
Pretty much
a lot of the items are going to give you.
Like there isn't like, it's like, oh yeah, this is the item that's plus in all the stats. Pretty much every single equipment so far that I've encountered has been like this is just a 1-to-1. Like you're sacrificing 1 defense for 1 attack, and like that is a little stressful, like at the beginning when like you only have like 8 attack, and you're like, how big of a difference is this going to make?
Now I definitely have some that nothing huge, but I definitely have some that'll give me like a buff and 2 different stats and no real decline
you get those
on anything.
Every so often.
Usually more often than not, it's just like a +1 in one category or something, or it's maybe 1 better than the item you have on. But nothing where I'm just like, this item. But I will say they don't do it when you're just looking at your party, but when you're in a shop, you can kind of like when you're selling your items, you can look at like, it shows like a plus or an up and down or like an even. So like I do kind of just clean out my inventory as I play along. Like, okay, I got the stuff I have equipped, couple extra things I might want to use, and then just sell stuff for gold, because you do need to kind of stock up on potions and items and stuff like that. At least for me, and all the different they're not all potions, but like flowers and whatever for health. And back to what you were saying about the Paper Mario thing too, DJ. I think part of the element of it too, like I was saying, like my timing might not be perfect, and that's adding to my engagement with the game personally. But I will say that the fact that you're also doing this tactics-based combat where like Paper Mario is just kind of turn-based, it is what it is, and then the action is like keeping me engaged in that, and it's kind of, because that turn-based combat is kind of boring to me sometimes, and where it's just when you're just selecting things. But in this case, like I would kind of be totally content if it was just the tactics, because I think all the characters have a ton of moves, there's a ton of options. I'm getting an ass whooping, but like part of that is because I'm missing like some of the enemy attacks and not dodging them and taking full damage, and vice versa, not like sticking my attacks. So but I will say that was adding to some minor frustrations, even though I'm overall loving this game. I was like, man, these battles are hard. But I will say they do a great job of like, if you get a game over if you lose during a battle, you can either reload from your last save or from the start of the battle, which I think is an amazing system personally. I think that's just so awesome that you can like boot up from the battle, or if you're like, you know what, I think I went into that with not enough health, let me go back to the save point and, you know, maybe get some more things from the shop before I head that way.
I like the battle system a lot in this game. I was trying to rack my brain if I could think of like another game that combined tactics plus that Paper Mario timing thing together. I don't think there is. I don't think so either.
I can't think of one either.
Even like it's like Take on Tactics is really unique in that you're basically in like a corridor. Like every single battle is like an incredibly, like from a tactics like perspective, an incredibly small like field. But like the fact that it is like, you know, just kind of a random encounter, and you're like doing these on like a semi-regular basis, more so than if you were doing a tactics game, which is usually a large like battlefield with many units. Like the fact that it's usually like around like 3 versus 3, and like, you know, the width of the battlefield is always 3, and I don't remember what the length is. It's like 12 or something. Like
sounds right.
It's a pretty
something
narrow,
like that.
Like field, but at the same time, like all of the like area of attack like things where, like, you know, you have each character has a specific range for each of their attacks or each of their spells that they cast, and so you always are constantly repositioning yourself and trying to like make sure that you're like your attacks are able to hit enemies, but maybe you're outside of the enemy's range. So it lends itself to a
around
really
the traps that they lay.
Yes. It's such a unique take on it that like I really like.
Me too. And making sure your teammates your other characters are out of that range of area of effect to just only hit the enemies and not also hit one of your guys too. Otherwise, those moves are now out of your arsenal unless you want to take some extra damage to try and seal the whole thing.
And you also can't pass through your own teammates. Like they're physically on a square, and you can't like just walk through them like you normally would in a tactics game. So there's all of this repositioning that you have to take into account. It's I love it.
Me too.
Yeah, and some of the enemies, like many of the enemies, will have like an effect. Like if your character's standing right next to them when they get killed, or when you defeat that enemy, like they'll take a damage effect after. Like the enemy will kind of explode and do some extra damage to your character and stuff like that. So that you really got to watch the health bars. You got to manage your inventory a little bit. Not like crazy. You get enough money where you can kind of bulk up on some of the items, but like you do have to kind of watch your step a little bit. It's really cool, and I really like the top down perspective for the overworld and everything. Like it's got this really simplistic art style, but like at the same, and on both fronts really, it's kind of like this simple, not quite 8-bit but not quite 16-bit, but like when the characters like nod their heads and stuff, I really like how like expressive they are on the overworld and whatnot. And I will say I love that, unlike Undertale, they're not random encounters. You do see like the enemies on the map, like every encounter, every battle. You don't, like I think in Paper Mario you can like get the jump on enemies, right? If you like hit them with a hammer, like pre-battle. There's nothing like that, I don't think. But like either way, you know, like, do I want to go into this encounter? Do I have enough health? I just really like the setup and structure of the game on all fronts, really.
I will say that I think I was initially expecting to not get very into the story, just because I figured it would be something pretty basic that we've seen before.
Sure.
And like I was also kind of like playing this along with my Undertale replay, and like it's just like I always, you know, laugh and whatever when I'm playing Undertale. So it was just like, oh, this isn't going to compare. But like by the end of the game, like I was feeling pretty attached to like all these characters. And
nice.
I would say it's like a good emotional investment.
Nice. That's awesome.
Whatever,
I agree with
whatever
that.
that's worth.
I agree too, and like you get like right off the bat, it's like, oh, there's some witches and wizards, and you kind of might think like, oh, it's going to be like a Harry Potter story RPG, and it's definitely not that. You know, it's definitely its own story with a ton of unique characters. We talked about that a little bit on the interview episode, and again, we haven't touched on this episode ourselves about the music. And DJ, I'd be curious to hear some of your thoughts on the music, because we did talk about like some of our maybe not favorite tracks specifically, but some of the highlights and stuff. Like, do you have anything that stands out? Because there's definitely some interesting choices. Yeah, there's some really interesting choices. And again, I guess just small spoiler alert if you haven't listened to the interview episode, you know, but on the music front, like there is like on this first boss battle, this first kind of main boss battle you have, there's like some vocals come in all of a sudden on the track, and I think it is the person you're fighting is singing, correct? That's like at least
like
what's
her
kind
inner
of
monologue or
Gilda.
yeah, and it's such a great track, and like just all of a sudden you kind of perk up, because again, we talked about this in the interview, but like you don't see that very often in like a normal kind of story driven game. You just don't all of a sudden hear vocals come in, but
especially a retro
really
styled one. Yeah,
exactly. And there's just such a great like mix of all the chip tunes and like the real instrumentation. There's just such a great variety, like all the sweeping kind of moody piano tracks. Like
First time I heard
love
that
the
oboe,
soundtrack of this
I was
game.
like, oh yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe this isn't like the best comparison, but like I was getting similar despair vibes in some of the later tracks that I would get like deep into Dark Souls, like at the end boss there, which was
okay,
a nice little like weird like
tension,
I don't know. yeah,
sense memory of like stress.
There was there's like an element to the story that I think is very Dark Soulsy also, which I guess I won't spoil for you, but
thank you.
Well,
I'll talk
as
about
someone
it
familiar with the Dark Souls story, now I'm spoiled and now I'm nervous.
You haven't beaten it. You don't know.
You act like I haven't watched a Let's Play of a game I play.
For you.
Out of curiosity, how many chapters is it, DJ?
8.
Oh,
okay. Got a little ways to go.
Not too
I was
bad,
kind of thinking like 5 or 6, but yeah, I got almost halfway there.
10.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is a short game.
I'm sure we'll touch base on this one again if we all keep playing it, which it sounds like we are. So, but yeah, I think we could pretty much wrap up the games talk there this week if you guys are good to call it.
Yes, sir.
It's been called.
Good deal. Well, as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Discord. Come hang out. We're always chatting about what we're playing.
Yes,
if you want a little maybe sneak peek about what we're going to talk about in the future, or maybe give us some recommendations of stuff to play.
Yeah.
We never mentioned our Gmail. We have pursuingpixels@gmail.com. I feel like I haven't mentioned that in a while, but I'll call it there, and you can find links in the episode description. And otherwise, we will catch you next week. And until then, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.
I was surprised how much you had. Like you said, you didn't play like as a refresher, right, John?
Nope.
Like that man, you had like that off the top of your head.
This
man,
game
just, like,
left an incredibly strong imprint on me as a person. Like,
and you own the vinyl too, right, John?
Oh yeah, I own that vinyl. It has the dog song on a 7-inch as well,
nice,
which is just that like little chirpy song on repeat. Like,
nice.
Oh god, it's but.
That's awesome.
We didn't even get into the best character and the best section
Papyrus?
of the game, Metaton.
That's where I am now.
Metaton's pretty good.
Just about to do that fight, but I
love all those
forgot
fake outs.
how much I hate Alphys.
Really? Oh, well, yeah.
Because as you're going through Hotland, like you're constantly getting text throughout
Oh yeah,
that interrupt your
yes.
gameplay. Yeah.
Yes,
But I love how horribly awkward she is.
yeah. She's just a little nerd.
Yes. Or like when she'll like give you like a tip immediately after you clear a section, and then she's like, "Fuck, God, I'm trash. Don't listen to me. Oh God, I'm the worst."